What if I told you the reason you're aging faster than your ancestors isn't genetics? It's that we selectively bred the longevity out of our food. For 10,000 years, humans ate plants packed with compounds that kept cells young, but modern agriculture replaced them with sweeter, softer, blander crops. The populations that lived past 100 weren't lucky. They were eating things we forgot existed. This video reclaims 10 ancestral superfoods erased from the Western diet, ranked by how aggressively they protect your cells. By number 1, you'll know exactly what centenarian cultures were eating that we aren't, and where to find it today. Here's what happened. We didn't lose these foods by accident. We lost them by design. When agriculture industrialized, survival gave way to profit. Bitter meant protective compounds, so we bred them out. Fibrous meant cell wall polysaccharides, so we softened everything. The foods that kept our ancestors alive in famines, wars, and harsh climates disappeared because they didn't ship well or taste like candy. But the population's still eating them. They're outliving us by decades. This list is ranked by potency. How many cellular aging pathways each food attacks, how hard it is to find today, and how fiercely historical populations defended it. Item 7 was hoarded by Roman emperors and banned from peasant diets. Modern labs now know why it doubles mitochondrial efficiency. Item 1 is so potent that one population eating it daily has virtually zero Alzheimer's, and you can grow it in a window box. Let's start. Number 10. Purslane. This omega-3 dense weed with melatonin and glutathione precursors is growing in your driveway right now, and you've been pulling it like it's trash. Ancient Persia and Egypt cultivated it deliberately. Early Islamic medical texts reference it as a cooling, longevity herb. Mediterranean and Middle Eastern cultures ate it daily as a staple green, not as a garnish, as a foundation. Modern studies show it has the highest omega-3 content of any leafy green, specifically alpha-linolenic acid, which mechanistic research links to reduced inflammation and cellular aging markers. It also contains betalains and vitamin C and E at levels comparable to engineered supplements. The difference between what they ate and what you might find today: wild harvested or garden-grown purslane is superior to store-bought, which has been hybridized for thickness over nutrient density. Use it fresh in salads, sautéed, pickled, or blended into smoothies. Consume it within 2 days of harvest for peak potency. One safety note: it's high in oxalates, so moderate your intake if you're prone to kidney stones. This is the easiest win on the list. Go find it today. Number 9. Amaranth greens. These protein-rich leaves contain squalene and anti-inflammatory peptides that most people think only come from shark liver. The Aztec and Incan civilizations considered the entire amaranth plant sacred and used it in longevity rituals. Pre-Columbian populations lived into their 80s on amaranth-heavy diets despite conditions that should have killed them young. Modern research shows the leaves contain squalene, which studies indicate supports skin elasticity and lipid membrane integrity. The peptides show a CE inhibitor-like properties in cellular studies. That's cardiovascular protection at the compound level. Ancient populations ate the whole plant: seeds, leaves, stems. Modern amaranth is often grown only for the grain, and the leaves are discarded. You want young leaves before the plant flowers. That's when nutrient density peaks. Avoid the bitter, mature leaves. Cook them like spinach, add them to soups, or juice them. No significant safety concerns. If you want to keep uncovering what modern food systems erased, subscribe now. We're rebuilding the ancestral nutrition library, one video at a time. Number 8. Nettle. This mineral-dense leaf delivers silica, histamine modulation, and mitochondrial cofactors that modern greens can't touch. Nettle was a European survival food during famines and wars. Roman soldiers rubbed it on their limbs for endurance, not as folklore as standard practice. Scandinavian cultures consume nettle soup year-round, and historical records correlate this with extraordinarily low arthritis rates. Mechanistic studies today link nettle's bioavailable iron, magnesium and silica to collagen synthesis and bone density. Its quercetin and camphorol content shows senescent cell clearance potential in vitro. That's the removal of damaged cells that accelerate aging. Original use was whole plant, fresh or dried, in spring when the first 4 to 6 inches sprouted. Modern nettle is often sold as tea bags with degraded potency. You want spring harvest, dried properly, or fresh from clean soil. Avoid anything near polluted roadsides. Use it as tea from dried leaves, blanched in soups, or powdered into food. One critical note: raw nettle stings. Always cook or dry it first. These first three you can find this week, but now we're going deeper into what was deliberately forgotten. Number 7. Sea buckthorn. This omega-7 berry contains rare palmitoleic acid for mucosal and skin regeneration, and it's one of the most complete fatty acid sources in the plant kingdom. Tibetan and Mongolian herders fed it to their horses for coat luster and endurance before they realized it did the same for humans. They consumed it during high-altitude winters when nothing else grew. Traditional Chinese medicine texts cite it for nourishing yin and skin vitality, not cosmetic vitality, structural vitality. Modern research reveals it's the only plant source of all 4 omega fatty acids, 3, 6, 7, and 9. Omega-7 studies show unique support for mucous membrane repair and cellular hydration. Its vitamin C and carotenoid levels exceed citrus and carrots, and the antioxidant synergy in studies is remarkable. The original form was whole frozen berries and raw oil. Modern products often use heat extraction, which degrades the compounds. You want CO2 extracted oil to retain the full spectrum. The berries are extremely tart, best blended or naturally sweetened. Use the berry juice, the oil topically or orally, frozen berries or dried powder. The high acidity may irritate sensitive stomachs, but otherwise no significant safety concerns. Notice how each of these so far was either a survival staple or restricted to elites. That pattern intensifies now. Number 6. Moringa. This drought-adapted tree offers a comprehensive micronutrient profile and isothiocyanates that function like a multi-system reset. Ancient Indian Ayurvedic texts call it the miracle tree and reference it in over 300 remedies for vitality. Subsistence populations in arid Africa and South Asia relied on it during droughts, and 20th century health surveys documented surprisingly low disease rates in these groups. Modern analysis shows the leaves contain 27 vitamins and minerals in bioavailable forms. Compounds like niacinamide activate cellular detoxification pathways in research models. It also has exceptionally high zeatin content, a cytokinin that studies suggest plays a role in delaying cellular senescence. Traditional use was fresh leaves in cooking, seeds for oil, and bark for medicine. Modern moringa is mass-produced. Often sun-dried, which degrades phytonutrients. Shade-dried powder retains more of the active compounds. Avoid the stems, they're bitter and lower in nutrient density. Use fresh leaves in cooking, dried powder in drinks, or seed oil topically. One caution: it may lower blood sugar, so be careful if you're diabetic or on medication. Still here? Good, because what's coming next was literally restricted to royalty. If you've made it this far, hit like so this reaches someone who needs it. Number 5. Lamb squatters. This ancestral grain relative delivers calcium, protein, and rare saponins, and it outranked wheat in Iron Age diets. Archaeologists found it in Neolithic European food caches. Native American tribes harvested the seeds and greens as primary nutrition, not supplemental, primary. Lewis and Clark's journals note that it sustained frontier populations when cultivated crops failed. Modern research shows its calcium-to-calorie ratio surpasses milk. Mechanistic studies on chenopod saponins demonstrate cholesterol binding and anti-inflammatory effects. Its lutein and beta-carotene levels rival engineered kale varieties. Original populations ate young greens raw, or cooked and toasted the seeds or ground them into flour. Modern lamb squatters is considered a weed and eradicated with herbicides. If you find it, you want pre-flowering greens when they're tender. The seeds require threshing but store indefinitely. It's high in oxalates, so limit intake if you're kidney sensitive, and rinse the seeds. They have a saponin coating. Use young greens raw or cooked, seeds toasted or ground. Pause here. Notice how every item so far disappeared for the same reason. Modern agriculture didn't want bitter, fibrous, or labour-intensive. It wanted sweet, soft, and shippable. What we're about to cover wasn't just forgotten, it was actively restricted. Number 4. Schizandra berry. This adaptogenic berry contains lignans that optimize liver detox and mitochondrial ATP production, and Chinese imperial courts literally restricted access to it. They called it the 5-flavor berry and reserved it for longevity extension. Russian hunters in Siberia carried it for endurance and mental clarity during extreme winters. It was survival currency. Modern research on its lignans, specifically schizandrin and gomycin, shows they activate NRF2 pathways. That means upregulation of the body's own cellular antioxidant enzymes. Human studies suggest improved liver enzyme function and reduced oxidative stress markers. The original form was whole-dried berries chewed or brewed. Modern Schisandra is often sold as degraded extracts with unclear lignin content. You want whole-dried berries, which retain potency for years, or extracts that specify lignin concentration. Use it as dried berry tea, tincture, or powder. One safety note: it may stimulate uterine contractions, so avoid it during pregnancy. This is where the list shifts from useful to extraordinary. The final three weren't just rare, they were guarded. Number 3, astragalus root. This telomere-preserving root contains cycloestrogenol and enables deep immune modulation, and it's been a core component of traditional Chinese medicine for 2,000 years. And emperors consumed it daily for prolonged life, not symbolically, clinically. Historical records show physicians prescribed it specifically to the elderly for vitality restoration. Modern research reveals it contains cycloestragenol, which has been studied for its potential to activate telomerase, the enzyme that maintains telomere length. Shorter telomeres correlate with cellular aging, longer telomeres correlate with longevity. Its polysaccharides show immune-enhancing effects without overstimulation, and mechanistic research links these compounds to reduce cellular aging. Traditional preparation involved simmering 4 to 7-year-old roots for hours to extract the deep compounds. Modern astragalus is often sold as young, bleached or sulfured roots with minimal potency. You want 4 to 7-year roots, unbleached, unsulfured. And use it as a decoction, simmered root tea, powdered in soups, or as encapsulated extract. One caution: it may enhance immune activity, so use carefully if you have autoimmune conditions. This was restricted because it worked. Number 2, chaga mushroom. This birch parasite contains extreme auric antioxidants, betulinic acid, and melanin at levels that don't exist anywhere else in nature. Siberian shamans called it the gift from God and used it in subarctic survival for immune resilience. 12th century Russian manuscripts describe it as a cancer-preventive tonic for nobility. It wasn't available to common people. Modern research on betulinic acid shows it induces apoptosis in damaged cells. That's selective cell death without harming healthy tissue. Its ORAC scores exceed acai by 25 to 50 times. The melanin content is unique among fungi and shows potential for UV and radiation protection in studies. Traditional use was wild harvested chunks from living birch trees in cold climates, double extracted with hot water and alcohol to pull both water-soluble and fat-soluble compounds. Modern chaga is often sold as ground powder, which oxidizes rapidly and loses potency. You want wild harvested chunks from living birch in cold regions. Those chunks can yield multiple brews. Use it as double extracted tea, powder if freshly ground, or decoction. One caution: it has blood-thinning potential, so be careful if you're on anticoagulants. This is the hardest item to source on this list, and the most defended historically. Number 1, gotu kola. This neuroprotective creeper contains triterpenoids that trigger BDNF and collagen gene expression. And one population eating it daily has virtually zero Alzheimer's. Sri Lankan legend says elephants that ate it lived over 100 years. Local herbalists consumed it daily and reportedly lived past 100 themselves. Ayurvedic texts call it the fountain of life. Monks used it for memory and meditation endurance, not for focus, for structural brain preservation. Modern research shows its Asiatic acid and medicassicide stimulate collagen type 1 and 3 synthesis. Wound healing studies demonstrate accelerated tissue repair. More importantly, research indicates it elevates BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is linked to neurogenesis and cognitive longevity. A population study in Sri Lanka found that daily gotu kola consumers show statistically significant lower Alzheimer's incidence compared to non-consumers. The traditional form was fresh leaves in salads, tea, juice, or topical paste for skin. Modern gotu kola is sold dried, and the volatile oils degrade. Fresh is superior. You can grow it in a window box in clean water, but be aware, it bioaccumulates pollutants, so source matters. Use fresh leaves in salads as tea, juice, or topical paste. One caution: it may cause photosensitivity in high doses, and avoid it if you have liver compromise. This is the payoff. This is what centenarians were eating that we aren't. For 10,000 years, humans didn't hunt for longevity. They stumbled into it by eating what survived. These 10 foods weren't chosen because they tasted good. They were chosen because they kept people alive in conditions that should have killed them. Modern agriculture optimized for yield, shelf life, rate and sweetness, and in doing so, deleted the very compounds that slow cellular decay. The populations that live past 100 aren't genetic outliers. They're eating what we forgot was food. We didn't lose this by accident. We lost it by design. Go outside right now and look for purslane. It's in your driveway, your garden edges, sidewalk cracks. Pick a handful, rinse it, eat it in a salad tonight. That's it. You just ate something your great-great-grandparents knew was gold, and you didn't spend $1. Which of these 10 are you adding to your life first? Comment your number. I want to see who's starting with the forgotten weeds versus the imperial tonics.